The door clicked softly at 3 a.m. I stood in the dark kitchen, clutching her wedding ring, which she'd forgotten on the sink. The scent of unfamiliar cologne, sharp, masculine, hit me as she slipped past, thinking I was asleep. Her phone flickered with messages from work, but I knew no meeting lasts until dawn. She tossed her bag on the couch and headed to the shower, oblivious to my gaze. My heart pounded, but I didn't move. What was she hiding? Why had her eyes avoided mine for weeks? I felt the truth slipping away, leaving only the sharp sting of betrayal. We'd been together 5 years. She, Olena, my rock, my love. But in recent months, she'd changed, cold, distant, as if I were furniture in our apartment. At first, I chalked it up to exhaustion. Work, stress, life, it wears you down. But that scent, the ring, those messages. It wasn't stress. It was a lie. I watched her silhouette in the bathroom, heard the water drown out her hushed phone whispers. She thought I noticed nothing, but I saw everything. The first sign came a month ago. She started hiding her phone when I entered the room. Just a work chat, she'd say, but her fingers gripped the screen nervously. I didn't suspect betrayal then. Trust is the foundation, right? But that foundation cracked. Her smile turned fake, her hugs mechanical. She stopped sharing her day, and when I asked, she snapped. "You're too controlling." She threw at me once, though all I wanted was to know why she came home so late. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, scrolling through her Instagram. Every photo was perfect. Us, together, happy. But her eyes in the recent shots were empty. I felt everything we'd built crumbling. The ring in my hand felt foreign. I knew I couldn't just ask. She'd brush it off, accuse me of paranoia. I needed evidence. I had to know who she really was. When she came out of the bathroom, I pretended to sleep. She lay beside me, but didn't touch me. Her phone sat on the nightstand, screen down. I waited until her breathing steadied. Then I took it. The password had changed. Of course. But I knew her habits. She always used our wedding date. I entered the digits, and the screen lit up. A message from work. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., same hotel. Can't wait. My stomach twisted. This wasn't work. This was personal. I put the phone back, anger mixing with pain. She slept as if nothing had happened. But my world had flipped. I didn't know who work was, but I was going to find out. I wasn't a victim. I wouldn't let her destroy me. That night, I decided I'd uncover her secret, find the truth, and she'd pay for her lies. This was the start of my hunt. The problem became clear. Olena had changed. Her care felt excessive, fake. She made me breakfast, but avoided my eyes. Her phone was always on silent, passwords changed, and when I jokingly asked to see corporate party photos, she changed the subject. This wasn't my Olena. My Olena laughed until she cried, shared every detail. This woman was a stranger. I noticed her hiding the phone screen when I entered the room. Once, I saw her quickly close a messenger app as I set coffee on the table. Her fingers trembled, but she smiled. Work? You know how annoying it is. But I knew it wasn't work. Her voice was too high, her eyes darting. She was lying. I started noticing details, brighter lipstick, new perfume, a dress she never wore for me. Each clue cut like a knife. I couldn't just accuse her. She'd deny everything, and I'd look like a fool. I needed facts. I became a detective in my own home. I checked her bag while she slept, searched for receipts, listened to her phone calls behind closed doors. One evening, I found a receipt in her pocket from a downtown cafe we'd never visited. The date, last Thursday, when she stayed late at work. The amount, for two. My stomach churned, but I hid the receipt. I analyzed her schedule. She claimed to work late, but her colleague, whom I ran into, was surprised. Olena? She hasn't had meetings past 6 in ages. That was my first proof. I felt the puzzle coming together, but the picture scared me. What was she doing when not at work? With whom? I didn't want to believe the worst, but her behavior screamed betrayal. One evening, I waited until she was asleep and checked her laptop. She'd left a restaurant booking tab open. Not our favorite. Not for us. I noted the address and time. It was in 2 days. I knew I wouldn't confront her there. I had to be smarter. I had to gather more. Every inconsistency, the receipt, the work lies, the hidden messages, was a brick in my wall of evidence. I noticed her unease when I asked simple questions. How was your day? And she'd dodge. Her smile was a mask hiding panic. I didn't show my suspicions. I played the loving husband, but in my mind, I was plotting. I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was preparing for war. She thought I was blind, but I saw everything. And soon, she'd realize it. The cafe receipt was just the start. I held it, feeling the paper burn my fingers. It wasn't just a dinner receipt. It was evidence, the first real trace of her lie. I hid it in a drawer, but peace was gone. I needed answers. I checked her geolocation. Olena always shared her location with me via an app for safety, she said. But lately, I noticed she turned it off when at work. I opened her movement history. Last Thursday, when she was supposedly at the office, her phone told a different story. The cafe from the receipt, then a downtown hotel. Hotel. The word hit like a bullet. She spent 3 hours there. With whom? Anger mixed with despair, but I didn't let emotions take over. I had to be cold. I started logging everything. Dates, places, inconsistencies. Each detail was part of the puzzle. I wasn't just suspecting betrayal, I was proving it. I checked her bank statements. Another transaction, a cocktail bar we'd never been to. She doesn't drink cocktails. But someone did with her. That evening, she came home smiling, as if nothing happened. How was your day? I asked, watching her reaction. She shrugged. Normal, same as always. But her eyes betrayed her, they darted, searching for an escape. I smiled, hiding the storm inside. She thought she was in control, but I was a step ahead. I installed a tracking app on her phone. It wasn't fair, but fairness left with her ring on the sink. The app showed her route in real time. The next day, she said she was meeting clients. But her phone led me elsewhere, to the same hotel. I sat in my car, gripping the wheel, watching her marker stop downtown. 2 hours. Then she drove home. When she walked in, I pretended to watch TV. How are the clients? I asked. She hesitated but answered. Boring, as usual. Her lie was so natural, I almost believed it. But I knew the truth. Hotel. Cafe. Cocktails. Someone else. I didn't sleep that night, replaying every detail. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was preparing to strike. My plan was sharpening. I didn't want to fight. I wanted her to feel the same pain I did. But I needed undeniable proof. I had to catch her in the act. I knew she wouldn't stop. Her lies were too confident. But I was patient. I waited. And I knew she'd slip up soon. The problem became unbearable. Olena lied every time she opened her mouth. Her late work became regular, but her colleagues knew nothing of meetings. I called her friend Katia, who worked with her. Meetings? Olena's been leaving at 5 for ages, she said, unsuspecting. My suspicions were confirmed, but it wasn't enough. I needed to know where she went and with whom. Her every smile, every touch, was toxic. I saw her check her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Once, I heard her whisper into it, "Not tonight, he's home." My stomach twisted. She wasn't just lying, she was planning. Her life, our life, became a game where I was a pawn. I noticed new details. Earrings I didn't buy, the smell of cigarettes though she didn't smoke. Every clue screamed betrayal. I had to act systematically. The tracking app wasn't enough. I started checking her things. In her bag, I found a receipt from a jewelry store. A bracelet. Expensive. I hadn't bought her bracelets. I photographed the receipt and put it back. Then I checked her email, logging in with an old password she hadn't changed. There was a hotel booking confirmation. The same hotel her geolocation pointed to. Date, next Friday. On Friday, I took a day off and drove to the hotel. Her car was in the lot. I sat in mine, gripping the wheel, and waited. An hour later, she came out. Not alone. A tall man in an expensive suit held her hand. They laughed. My world collapsed, but I didn't move. I took photos. I knew this was just the beginning. That evening, she came home like nothing happened. How was your day? I asked, my phone with her photo in my pocket. She smiled, tired, but fine. Her lie was perfect. But I was ready. I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was building a trap. I knew I couldn't rush. One wrong move, and she'd slip away. I analyzed her schedule. She always stayed late on Fridays. I checked hotel bookings. They were regular. I found her messages with him in cloud storage where she kept backups. Work had a name, Maxym. They planned dinners, trips, nights. Each message was a knife. But I didn't break. I used it to grow stronger. I knew she'd slip up soon. Her confidence was her weakness. I waited, gathered, planned. My anger turned into cold resolve. I wasn't a victim. I was a hunter. And I was going to make her feel everything I felt. The hotel truth was just the tip of the iceberg. I saw her with him, Maxym, but it wasn't enough to shatter her lie. Photos, receipts, bookings, all evidence. But I wanted more. I wanted to catch her red-handed, so she couldn't wiggle out. I recovered deleted messages. I knew Olena wasn't as careful as she seemed. She deleted chats but didn't know messengers keep backups. I used a data recovery program on her phone while she slept. It took hours, but I found their correspondence. Maxym wrote, "Darling, next Friday is our day. Hotel, dinner, then a trip out of town. He won't know." She replied, "He's too caught up in himself. I've got it under control." My hands shook, but I stayed calm. She thought I was blind. She was wrong. Their plans were clear, a romantic trip in 2 weeks. They booked a cottage in the Carpathians. I found the confirmation in her email. She told me it was a corporate retreat. A retreat with him. I felt anger turn to cold fury. But I didn't rush. I had to be precise. I started preparing for their trip. I contacted the Carpathian Hotel, posing as a client. They had a booking under Maxym's name. I asked for details, saying I wanted the same room. The administrator confirmed. A room for 2, romantic package, champagne. I thanked them and hung up. My plan was taking shape. I wasn't just gathering evidence, I was setting a trap. That evening, Olena was extra sweet. She made dinner, hugged me, but I saw her game. She thought I suspected nothing. I smiled, asked about her retreat. She lied so easily, I almost admired it. But I knew the truth. I knew about the cottage, Maxym, their nights. And I knew she'd pay soon. I started tracking Maxym. Found him on LinkedIn, a successful businessman, married. His wife didn't suspect a thing, judging by their Instagram photos. I decided she needed to know. But not yet. First, I had to finish my part. I gathered everything. Chat screenshots, hotel photos, recordings of her lies. I even recorded her whispering to him on the phone when she thought I was asleep. My anger became strength. I didn't just want payback. I wanted her to feel the same emptiness I did. Her confidence was her weakness, and I was going to exploit it. I waited for their trip. I knew it would be my moment. They thought their secret was safe, but I was a step ahead. Olena accused me of paranoia when I casually asked about the hotel. "Seriously? I'm working, and you're making things up," she yelled, her eyes filling with tears. It was so convincing, I almost doubted myself. But I'd seen her car at the hotel. I had photos. Her tears were part of the act. She wasn't just lying, she was manipulating. After the argument, she got more cautious. She never left her phone unattended, locked doors when she talked. But I saw her delete a chat when she thought I wasn't looking. Her panic gave her away. She knew I suspected something but not how close I was to the truth. Every move was a challenge. Try to catch me. I recovered the deleted messages. I used her old tablet, untouched for months. It had chat backups. I found everything. Her messages with Maxym, trip plans, even intimate texts. Every word was a blow, but I didn't stop. I saved screenshots, log dates, phone numbers. I even found their photos. She sent him selfies from the hotel, wearing the dress she put on for work. I started tracking Maxym. On social media, he looked perfect, successful, charismatic, loving husband. But I knew his secret. I found his wife, Anna, on Facebook. She posted family photos, clueless. I decided she'd be part of my plan, but later. First, I had to finish with Olena. I set the trap. I knew about their Carpathian trip. I contacted the cottage, posing as Maxym's friend, and asked for a surprise. The administrator agreed to help. I requested a camera in the room, supposedly for a romantic video. It was illegal, but I was ready for anything. I needed undeniable proof. That evening, Olena said she was going to a corporate retreat. I smiled, have fun. She didn't catch the chill in my voice. I knew where she was going. I knew with whom. And I knew this was her last lie. I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was preparing retribution. Her confidence, manipulations, tears, everything would turn against her. I double-checked everything. Screenshots, photos, recordings, bookings. My plan was flawless. I didn't just want to expose her. I wanted her to feel the same shame I did. I waited for their trip, knowing it would be their end. They thought their secret was safe, but I held all the cards. Olena grew too confident. Her lies were polished, like she rehearsed every word. She no longer flinched when I asked about her plans. "Corporate retreat in the Carpathians, it'll be boring," she said, packing her suitcase. Her smile was perfect, but I knew she wasn't going to a retreat. She was going to him. I sped up my plan. I had everything. messages, photos, recordings, bookings. But I wanted the payback to be devastating. I contacted the Carpathian cottage administrator and confirmed the camera was set. I asked for the recording after their arrival. I also hired a private detective to tail them. He was to take photos and videos of their romantic getaway. I left nothing to chance. I found Maxym's wife, Anna, on social media. I sent her an anonymous message. Your husband is planning a trip with another woman. Check his Carpathian booking. I didn't sign it but attached a screenshot of their chat. I knew she wouldn't ignore it. My goal wasn't just to expose Olena but to shatter their little world. The evening Olena left, I stayed home, checking updates from the detective. He sent the first photos, Olena and Maxym at a restaurant near the cottage, laughing, holding hands. I felt anger boil but kept it in check. This was my moment. I waited for the camera recording. I knew it would be my ace. Anna replied to my message. Who are you? Where's this from? I didn't respond. I knew she was already checking. I imagined her scrolling through his messages, her world crumbling like mine. But I felt no pity. They both deserved it. Olena thought she was smarter than everyone. Maxym thought he'd never get caught. They were wrong. The detective sent a video, Olena and Maxym entering the cottage. The room camera recorded everything, their embraces, kisses, laughter. I didn't watch it all. It was enough. I saved the recording and sent a copy to my lawyer. I'd already contacted a lawyer to prepare divorce papers. I didn't just want to end this. I wanted Olena to lose everything. I knew the trip was their final mistake. They thought they were safe, but I held all the strings. Anna likely knew the truth by now. The detective tracked their every move. The camera recorded every second. My plan was ready. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was preparing the finale. Olena would return, thinking she was in control. But she wouldn't know I'd already won. Olena came back from the retreat calm, as if nothing happened. She talked about boring presentations and team games, but I'd seen the video. I knew she spent the weekend with Maxym and the Carpathians. Her lie was flawless, but I was ready. The tension at home was unbearable, but I didn't show I knew. She thought I suspected nothing. She hugged me, cooked dinner, but I saw her game. Every word was a slap. I knew about the cottage, their nights, every kiss. But I waited. I didn't want a scene. I wanted her to fall from the height of her confidence. Her calm was her weakness, and I was going to use it. I planned the final blow. I gathered all the evidence, screenshots, photos, videos, recordings. I contacted the restaurant where they often dined and arranged a surprise. I said I wanted to host a friend's night, but I was preparing a show. I hired a technician to connect a projector to my laptop. The screen would display their messages, photos, videos, everything I'd collected for months. I also sent Anna, Maxym's wife, the full set of evidence. I wrote, "Your husband is cheating with my wife. Here's proof." I included the cottage video. I knew she wouldn't stay silent. My lawyer prepared the divorce papers, and I signed them. I didn't just want to expose Olena. I wanted her to lose everything. Me, her reputation, her lie. I lured them to the restaurant. I messaged Olena as Maxym. I had access to his email. Meet me at our place, 8 p.m. romantic dinner. She fell for it. I sent Maxym a message from her name. They both thought it was their secret night. But I was the director of this evening. That day, I checked everything again. The projector was ready. The evidence was on a flash drive. The lawyer awaited my signal. Anna knew the truth and was likely already planning her moves. I felt the tension peak, but I was calm. I wasn't a victim. I was a hunter. Olena thought she was smarter than everyone, but she was walking into my trap. I imagined her face when she saw the projector. I pictured her world collapsing. This wasn't revenge for revenge's sake. It was justice. She destroyed our life, but I was going to destroy her illusions. I waited for the evening, knowing it was the end. They thought their secret was safe, but I held all the cards. I was no longer a victim. Anger, pain, despair, it all turned into cold resolve. I stood before the mirror, looking at a man who'd spent months gathering evidence, planning, waiting. Olena thought I was weak, blind, but I was stronger than she could imagine. I wasn't going to throw tantrums or beg her to stay. I was going to act strategically, confidently, ruthlessly. My evidence was ironclad. Chat screenshots, hotel photos, cottage videos, recordings of her lies. I had everything to ruin her world. But I didn't rush. I contacted Maxym, posing as an anonymous sender. I wrote, "Meet Olena at the restaurant, 8 p.m. There'll be a surprise." I knew he'd come. I sent Olena a message from his name. They both thought it was their night. But it was mine. I stopped doubting myself. Olena made me feel like a fool, but I used that pain to get smarter. I hired a lawyer, prepared divorce papers, froze our joint accounts. I even contacted her colleagues to gather testimony about her late work. Every detail was part of my plan. I didn't just want to expose her. I wanted her to feel the same emptiness I did. I thought of Anna, Maxym's wife. She deserved the truth. I sent her all the evidence, this time signing. A man betrayed just like you. I knew she wouldn't stay quiet. Her anger would be another piece of my retribution. I imagined Maxym coming home to face her fury. They'd both pay. I prepared the restaurant. The technician set up the projector. I checked the flash drive with evidence. The screen would show their messages, photos, video clips. I pictured their faces when they saw it. Olena always prided herself on her reputation. She loved looking perfect. But I was going to show everyone who she really was. I wasn't the man I used to be. Love for Olena was gone, leaving only self-respect. I wasn't just exposing betrayal, I was rebuilding my life. I joined a gym, started a new project, reconnected with friends she'd pushed away. I felt myself returning strong, confident, free. That evening, I stood outside the restaurant, watching Olena and Maxym walk in. They laughed, holding hands. My stomach twisted, but I smiled. This was their last happy moment. I followed, flash drive in my pocket. I was ready. I wasn't a victim. I was a hunter. And I was about to end this game. I entered the restaurant as Olena and Maxym sat at their table. They laughed, sipped wine, thinking their secret was safe. I nodded to the technician, and the projector flicked on. Their messages appeared on the screen. "Darling, you're my escape from everything," Maxym wrote. "He doesn't suspect a thing," Olena replied. The room fell silent. All eyes were on the screen. Olena paled. Maxym dropped his glass. I stood by the entrance, watching their world implode. Hotel photos, cottage videos, their kisses, everything flashed on the screen. Guests whispered, some filmed on their phones. Olena tried to speak, but her voice shook. "It's not what you think," she screamed, but I just smiled. Maxym fled first, bolting from the restaurant without looking back. Olena was left alone, her eyes brimming with tears. But I felt no pity. She destroyed our life, and now I destroyed her illusions. I walked to her, placed the divorce papers on the table, and said, "You lost." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "You made your choice," I added and walked out. Anna, Maxym's wife, was already moving. That same evening, she posted their messages on social media, tagging his colleagues and friends. His reputation was ruined. I heard she filed for divorce, demanding half his assets. Maxym lost everything: family, career, respect. Olena returned to an empty apartment. I'd taken my things and moved to a friend's place. She called, texted, begged to talk, but I didn't respond. Her tears no longer worked. I felt freedom. The pain of betrayal faded, leaving only pride in myself. I didn't just survive, I won. My lawyer finalized the divorce in a month. Olena got nothing. I'd made sure of that. Her reputation was in tatters. Colleagues whispered behind her back, friends turned away. She was left alone with the consequences of her lies. I started a new life. I returned to dreams she'd once mocked. I launched work, opened my own business, began traveling, met people who valued me. I didn't look back. Olena became a lesson, painful but valuable. I learned to value myself, my strength, my dignity. Sometimes I heard about her. She tried to start over, but her lies caught up with her. Maxym vanished from her life, leaving her alone. I felt no joy in it, but no regret either. She chose her path. I chose freedom. That night in the restaurant was my triumph. I didn't just expose betrayal, I reclaimed my life. I stood over the ruins of her lies, strong, confident, free. And I knew I'd never be a victim again.